The quickest way to have a short life is to cut yourself off from people. We human beings are social creatures, and we need to have that type of community. Maybe it's volunteering. Maybe you've moved to a new city and you haven't made a lot of friends there yet. One way to be able to ward off depression or things like that is to be of service to someone else. So find opportunities where you can donate your time, your talents, maybe mentor someone. Don't hide your light under a bushel. Namaste. How old do you want to be? Let me rephrase that. How long do you want to live? And along with how long do you want to live, how do you want to live? Because there are some people who live to be very old, like my grandmother, who lived to be 95, who unfortunately had dementia in her later years. Now, I don't know about you, but that's not how I want to be. I do not want to be like that. I do want to live a long time. In fact, I have set a goal for myself that I would like to reach at least 100. And I've wanted that for quite a while. I just think it would be so cool to be a centenarian, to reach that age and to be able to say, wow, I've lived 100 years. Now, I do know that, and again, this is in memory, my grandmother's been gone for a long time now, but I do know that she did complain in later years that she had outlived a lot of her friends. And I know that does happen. And that has happened a lot in the past, but I wonder if that's necessarily the case today. Because I don't know about you, but I see lots and lots of people who are living well past their 80s, living into their 90s, and they're still vital and amazing people. I mean, there's a lot of people just in show business. I mean, what is it? Mel Brooks is still producing movies, and I think he's in his 90s. Okay. And I think he's getting very close to being 100. So it's definitely possible. And I think you can still be able to have people to be able to still talk with and communicate with, even as you get into that age. So what I wanted to talk about today was how to be able to do this. How do you design your life your way for longevity? Because as you're going through this time of life, and if you're over 50, you're over 60, and you want to be able to be vital into your, let's say 90s. Let's say you want to at least go a few more decades. Maybe you're not necessarily going to be over 100, but let's say to be able to still be vital. How can you best do that? So I have some ideas, but of course I'm not there yet. So I did some research, and I found a wonderful profile of a woman who is, when I found this article, and it came out this year. And so she's 101 years old. Her name is Betty Morris. I love that name, Betty, because that was my mom's nickname. Her first name was Elizabeth, but she went by Betty with her friends. Oh, and in fact, she's from Michigan. See, I love her even more as I'm glancing at this article that I printed out. But I thought I would share with her because, actually, she was born the same year that my mom was. And so if my mom had lived, she would be a centenarian right now. Unfortunately, she only made it to 78. And in fact, pretty much all of my family, my immediate family, all died too young. So that's another reason that I want to be able to break the cycle. Um, or, well, my immediate family, but my grandmother, see, I still have my grandmother made it to 95. So I want to be able to surpass my grandmother. So that's my plan. So I'm going to share with you today um, the four strategies that this centenarian um, credits for helping her to live past 100. And it's something, all of these things are really easy that you can start doing today. You can start doing today. And I'm going to add in a couple more that I think, or at least one other one that I can think of off the top of my head that I will put in there as well, because I do think it's helping me so far. And yeah, so number one that she shares in this this article that I found is she recommends to keep moving. And her exercise of choice is swimming. She's been swimming for about 40 years, and which I think is remarkable. And, and that she started doing it regularly because she joined a friend who wanted to incorporate water exercise into her routine. And I will say that I have done water aerobics in the past, and it was a lot of fun. I actually miss doing it. I used to belong to our local Y and had a membership there. Of course, COVID hit, and I kind of got out of the habit of doing that anymore. But at least for me, what I do is I do go for walks almost every day, and I've started incorporating actually bike riding as well. So yeah, keep moving. She also attends Zumba classes. I love this. She's 101 and she's taking Zumba. I did Zumba once and it hurt my knees. So it wasn't for me. So the lesson here, and she does do outdoor walks too. So the lesson for me to you in designing your life your way is to find something, number one, an exercise that you like. So whether that is swimming, whether it is riding a bike, whether it's walking or running or jumping on a trampoline. I know they have those little trampolines that you can, jump on in your house. Maybe it is taking some type of class. Could be yoga. Yoga is another good exercise as well. But there's all sorts of different types of activities that you can do to keep the body moving, because that, you use it or lose it, right? So if you're not exercising, then you lose, as we get older, we lose, I think they say that you lose muscle mass. So whatever you can do, and I would add in things like strength training, and those are good things, and start, doing some weightlifting. I've been endeavoring. I still haven't gotten myself into a good routine for that, but I know that there's some good. It's a good strategy to do as you get older. And I actually, maybe I'll include this in the show notes. I found a good YouTube channel that the gentleman actually tailors the exercises for people over 50, or maybe even over 60. I'll have to go back in, but I need to start watching more of them, because there's right and wrong ways to exercise, especially as you get older. And some of the things that you did maybe when you were in your 30s may not be as healthy and appropriate as you get older. So yeah, I'm going to find the link to that, and I'm going to put that in the show notes for you. So keep moving. That's Betty's that's Betty's first recommendation. The second one, I love this one, because this is actually something I talked about on the podcast not too long ago. Yeah, not too long ago, maybe a month or two ago, where I did. So she talks about excuse me. She talks about finding joy in community. She believes being sociable matters. And I could not agree more. Excuse me one second. Had a little tickle in my throat there. So yeah, so she, either she's chatting with fellow swimmers or she's attending church, um, but she makes it a point to be sociable, to even ask people their name if she doesn't know them, and uh, to really just be in community with people. And yeah, I will include the link to the episode I talked about recently, because I talked about the importance. I really went into detail about the importance of community, and that if you can't find a community to belong to, then start your own. And there are resources out there. There are places that you can go to. I mean, besides your local community, but there are online resources. There's, I think, Meetup is one. There's groups on like Facebook and FAT as well. But you can find whatever you're interested in. There most likely is already a group established, whether it's online or possibly in person. But again, if you maybe you don't go to church for whatever reason, or a religious organization, maybe you like to dance. Maybe take some dance classes. And in fact, I would say, I don't know if she has this as her other one. No, she doesn't. So I'm gonna add this in along with finding joy and community is you might be able to find a community around an interest that you have. So maybe if you want to start uh, taking classes somewhere, whether it's even at your local university, or maybe you always wanted to learn how to draw or to paint, take art classes. Maybe you like cooking. I know that there's places where you can take cooking classes. And when you're in a class, then of course you're going to meet other people. So like she does, her class is swimming, so that's where she meets people. So you can do this either with your exercise or with an interest that you have, but being with other people, and worst case scenario again is call somebody. Again, even if it's a community of one other person, there's this, they've said there's like this loneliness epidemic, and you don't have to be alone. So reach out to someone. Make sure that I'm not going to say make sure. I would say take advantage of all of the different places there are where you could connect with someone. So again, whether it's through your local spiritual organization, whether it's through some type of activity that you like to participate in, whether it's exercise or maybe something that is fun to do, or maybe you find whatever. There's a community out there, and if you can't find a community, then at least make sure you've got a couple of good friends that you can rely on, and either call them on the phone. Hopefully, if they live close by, call them and say, hey, can we get together and go get a cup of tea or have a cup of coffee, or maybe go see a movie. Movies are back. People are going to the movies again. And find something to do, but find some way, because the quickest way to have a short life is to cut yourself off from people. We human beings are social creatures, and We need to have that type of community. Maybe it's volunteering. Now here, yeah, that just occurred to me. That's another way, is that you could volunteer. There's all sorts of wonderful organizations out there that would love to have people to help them out. And so whatever your skill set is, maybe you're good with office work and you can volunteer, or maybe it's outreach. Maybe you want to drive and do like Meals on Wheels deliveries. There's opportunities out there, because especially with volunteering, if you don't, for let's say for whatever reason, maybe you've moved to a new city and you haven't made a lot of friends there yet. Well, one way to be able to ward off depression or things like that is to be of service to someone else. So find opportunities where you can donate your time, your talents, maybe mentor someone, especially if let's say that you are now retired and from your job, but you can still mentor someone younger and give them the benefit of your wisdom. They will appreciate it and you will appreciate it. So go check out, call your local university or community college and see if there's opportunities there. Ask other people and say, uh, do you know somebody who could use some help, who can use whatever it is that you have to offer. Don't hide your light under a bushel. So find joy in community. I like that. All right. Let me see. What was number 3 here? So her third rule of thumb for living longer is to keep a positive attitude. But beyond that, this article, she says that one of her biggest life philosophies is simple: to stay grateful. And she says the golden rule is to live with a grateful heart every day. And yeah, I 100% believe that. Now, I'm gonna yeah, it's funny. I'm thinking back about this because no, I think yeah, I was gonna say that I don't know that my grandmother was always the happiest person, but now that I think back about it, I do think that she had a positive attitude. She may not have always shown it to my mother because they didn't have the greatest relationship, but um, my grandmother, wow, I'm just thinking about this. She really did follow this advice, although she wasn't necessarily physically active per se, but she did find joy in community. My grandmother was Hungarian, and when she was living in Miami, there was a Hungarian Reformed church there, and they had a hall that they would host dinners and parties. And like when I was a kid, we would go for the New Year's Eve party and Christmas dinner and Easter dinner and things like that. And my grandmother was always the one going around to all the tables selling raffle tickets. That was her job. So she was in her 70s, 80s doing this. And she could turn on the charm, maybe. She just really knew how to charm and get people to pony up the bucks and buy some raffle tickets. And yeah, that's my one of my strong memories of her is doing that. So she found joy in that. She had community, and she, yeah, I think she had a positive attitude, at least there. And I do know, so I'm going to flip it and say that, my mom, God rest her soul, while she had a positive attitude and she was grateful about some things, but then I think she also harbored a lot of resentment. And I would always, I, I heard her complain a lot. And, like I said, I loved her with all my heart. And she really took great care of me growing up, did a lot of wonderful things for me. And I am forever grateful for her. And I also, we're human, we're not perfect. And I know I've done my share of complaining over the years as well. And I do know for me, one of the practices I have for staying grateful is that I have journals. And so before I go to bed at night, I always write down 3, 4, sometimes 5 things that I'm grateful about that happened during the day, because I want to go to bed thinking about things I'm grateful for. I don't want to go to bed worrying about the things that didn't get done or what I got to do tomorrow. No, I want to focus on good. I want to focus on things that I'm grateful for so that I have more to be grateful for. Because I do think like attracts like. And if you are focusing only on the negative and focusing on complaining about what didn't go right, then that's what's going to be in your frame of mind. And that's what you're going to wind up seeing. You're going to see more of that. When you can focus instead on the things that are going right in your life, it becomes more of a habit and you start seeing more things to be grateful for. And I will challenge you also, and I think I've talked about this on the show before, is the real challenge comes in being grateful for the things that you could complain about. I'll say it that way. When things don't go right, and to somehow find a way to look for that diamond in the rough, look for the lesson that, let's say something didn't turn out the way you expected. And you can be upset about it. I'm not going to say that you can't be upset about it. Yes, of course, you can be upset about it and you can be, really feel crappy about it. Just don't stay there. Don't stay in that mood. Find a way to say, okay, this happened. I don't like the result. What can I learn from this? How can I change this so that the next time something like this happens, or maybe I can prevent this from happening because I do something different? So that's the real challenge, is to be grateful for those things that it's very easy to complain about. That helps you to be able to keep that positive attitude going. And I really do believe it will help you to live longer and to be in a better place for that. Okay, let's see. So we've got, let's recap so far. So we've had keep moving, we've had find joy in community, and then number 3 is to keep a positive attitude. And I would say more than that, keep a grateful attitude. Maintain gratitude, or just stay grateful, period. And then the last practice that Betty Morris at 101 credits with helping her to continue to be where she is now at 101, and certainly seems like she has no signs of slowing down. She says to treat herself. Treat yourself, I should say. Treat yourself. And it says in this article, it says at her age, she's not overly strict about food. Yes, she enjoys her fruits and veggies, so that's good. But she also loves toast slathered with butter and strawberry jam made by her niece. And She says one treat stands out above the rest. She loves peanut butter fudge, and she still bakes homemade bread every week by using an old Tupperware recipe she has perfected over the years. So, yeah, I think eating well goes along with exercise. So eating healthy foods, but yeah, certainly as you get into your maybe late 80s and 90s, you could probably treat yourself a little bit, maybe not be quite so strict about, uh, you know, not wanting to have processed food, let's say, or overly sugary treats, things like that. And I'll say for me, now again, I've been indulging a little bit too much lately, and I got to get back onto it because I'm going to be next month. I've got to start training for a race that I'm doing in the fall, so I got to get handle on that. But the one thing I am doing is even when on the days that I'm indulging, I'm still making sure that I have a green smoothie and that I'm still eating good food, at least like say one healthy meal, and then I can have one not so healthy meal. So I'm trying to balance it out a bit, but I do need to lean more on the less indulging, more keeping more on the healthy routine. um, but again, once you get past your 80s, and certainly when you get in your 90s, I say, live it up a little bit. I mean, for heaven's sakes, you don't have to be quite so strict. And maybe treating yourself isn't necessarily about food. Maybe it's treating yourself with an experience. Let's say maybe you always wanted to travel somewhere, and now that you're not working full time, you can make plans to treat yourself to some sort of vacation that maybe you didn't have time for, or or something. But it doesn't necessarily have to be treating yourself to food. But just keep that in mind. So there's different ways to be. So I did mention at the beginning that I wanted to add one other thing that I believe will help. Now she doesn't mention this, and this article doesn't mention it, but uh, I think for me, certainly it's helping me now in this time of life where I'm over 60 now. But I think a really good practice, and I think it goes into with, let's say, the positive attitude, is to spend time getting to know yourself. So doing some sort of spiritual practice where you are connecting with your higher self. So whether that is doing a mindfulness practice or a meditation, whether it's journaling, but something that you can do every day, even for just a few minutes, to help you to find joy within your own heart. It's important to find joy in community, but I think it's also really vital for you. And now, of course, okay, I'm not going to, this is my opinion. I'm going to say it that way. This is my opinion. My recommendation, take it with a grain of salt. But I know for me that the time that I have spent getting to know myself pays dividends every day. And I think it has helped me in being able to, well, live to my 60s now and to be healthy. That was another thing. My mom and my dad both had health issues, and I really feel that I've been able to avoid being on things like high blood pressure medicine and being not having diabetes and things like that because I spend time meditating. I meditate every day, and I know there have been scientific studies that have shown that meditation does help to keep your stress levels down, and stress is a leading cause of a lot of different ailments in our life. So that's why one of the reasons not I do it for me. The physical health considerations are the added benefit. For me, it's more about the spiritual growth that I've had, that I get from it, and that's why I do it. But it's absolutely great for physical health as well. So that would be my last point that I would recommend. And again, whatever it is that works best for you. And I will say, and one other, again, meditation is great, journaling is great, mindfulness practices, any other type of energy healing as well, whether it's Reiki or light language, like I do. It's something that also works with your energetic body and helping it to, uh, again, keep yourself healthy. So, with that in mind, I'm going to take a drink of water, and then I'm going to share some light language with you today because I I feel that this has it certainly helps me, it helps my clients, to clear out energetic blocks that I think also contribute to sometimes the physical ailments that we have. So, um, yeah, so I think it's a really powerful practice for gaining clarity, for releasing stuck energy in your mental, emotional body. So I'm going to share that with you right now. And I'm going to invite you, if you are listening to the show right now and you're driving a car, to pause this and come back when you can listen. Um, and preferably in a place where you're not going to be disturbed. So I'm trusting that you've done that now and that you're back. And what I would encourage you to do right now is to set the intention that the message you're going to hear today will help you in whatever way that serves your highest good. So it's just a nice and overall, that's what I'm setting the intention. I'm setting the intention right now that the message that comes through will be for your soul's highest good and for the highest good of all. Kayo na kaya ko Koşa no krea bungata, hosha krea no krea batangre teba, na krea te, ona krea pna tia dolaba, ona krea toku shin karate, pala no kusha kata ba no krea ba no ka. Kwata, kwanya naka yatake he, anake yatanaku, anake yatokun manta, shot kariamanta guriato tumba greta, sasashi anake yamanunka, paleatona, kriatama sa, tono kriabana kikoapa. Kwashi no kuriata kimba da dinka de tepe hokana to kushing no kuba anaki ana kushikenya na ikarere patakuria pashokati ngale kotama ku amaki ana kodatama kuriata pekea sanakika hoshikinga ne ya to kumante kea kwanati kaleta Sakashian no kia batonga bata. Kotana kiata. Kumana kiata. Koyana kake. Ushakia batankata de batatuma. Kushakiana dakaria tata. Koyamaku pada tike. Sana kia kushakapata. A little taste for you today. I hope you received that with the love that was intended. And if you would ever like to have a private session with me, I encourage you to go to my website, and you can learn more about how light language helps women over 50 and helping you in your midlife journey. And if you don't want to wait, if you don't want to go to my website, you can go ahead and just schedule an appointment with me right now. You can go to bit.ly/L, for Live, Love, Engage, and then lowercase podcast and the number 30. I should probably change that bit.ly. Well, Live, Love, Engage is for my book. Yeah. That was the one I had for the old podcast when before I rebranded it at the beginning of this year. So anyway, I'll have that in the show notes, so don't sweat it. But you can also go to my website, and you can see on the menu, work with me, and there's a section there under light language, and you can learn more about it. And yeah, so I think that's going to do it for this edition of Design Your Life Your Way. And I'm so glad that you were with me today. I really am delighted to come into your home or your workplace or wherever you're listening to this or you're watching it. And I just really appreciate you. And I encourage you this week to go out and live boldly and on purpose.